Hi, this is the second in my series about where do our feelings really come from. And what I want to talk about today is the mistaken belief that our feelings can come from somebody else. Because, boy, does it look like they do. The way that other people behave seems to have a really powerful effect on us. And I know there are quite a number of people in this group who have had kids leave home recently and are feeling, bereft and lonely. Life's changed a lot in recent weeks and months. Um, and there are people here in all sorts of different situations, and one of the things, of course, that's common to all of us is that we're in relationship with other people, and we interact with them all the time, and how they behave seems to have a really direct effect on how we feel. And believing that that's the case makes us respond in certain ways. We respond in certain ways because we think that's the case. We think that particularly we think that we're really stuck because I'm sure you've noticed, as I have, that it's very difficult to change the way other people behave. It's hard enough to change the way you behave yourself, let alone trying to make somebody else do something differently. So how people behave seems to be very, very important, a very important circumstance in our well-being, our happiness, and how we feel from moment to moment. And I don't for a minute want to pretend that other people don't do things that are unkind, or are things that it would be better not to do, things that are sometimes intended to be hurtful, but quite often just things that are very different from how we think that they ought to behave. And maybe that's the kind of a place to begin, is that it's our expectation of how things should be, and the distance between how we think things should be and how things actually are, that causes us difficulty. So, going back to what I was saying yesterday about how our feelings can only ever really come from our experience of what's happening to us, or our experience of what someone else is doing, and our thinking about it. So thought that's running through our head, that's our kind of interface with the world. So we think that we see the world just as it is, but in fact we can only ever see it through the lens of our own thinking. So I'm sure you've noticed this at various times, that if you're feeling insecure in a particular situation, if you walk into a room feeling insecure and thinking that maybe you don't know what to say, and you don't know what you're talking about, or you don't know anybody, or whatever it is, that it really, you can find plenty of evidence to back up why you might be feeling that. So you look around and you think, oh, people are giving me funny looks because I shouldn't really be here, or people are avoiding me. If you went into that same room feeling ultra confident and people were behaving in exactly the same way, those funny looks might just be that somebody's got a scratch on, an itch on their nose, or they're avoiding you, or maybe they just coincidentally turn their back at the moment that you look towards them. And you, if you're feeling super confident, you wouldn't even notice that, you wouldn't make anything of it. But we make up stories from what we see out there that kind of supports what we've already decided. So in relationships with others, and especially when we have maybe new family members, when our children hitch up with different partners, we can have a whole lot of thinking about that, and about what they might think about us, and and whether they're the right person, and all this kind of thing. And we we kind of start to notice behaviours in them that tie in with whatever we've already decided. Now, of course, you know, as I said, I'm not at all saying that people don't sometimes behave in ways that are less than ideal, but what we do with that behaviour in our own mind, what we make of it, how we interpret it, is going to be the thing that dictates how we feel, because nobody else can create a feeling inside of me. Only I can do that. Nobody else can make me feel anything. And there are layers and layers of thinking that go on that between something that happens and my feeling that we're often not even aware of. And I know that often the next question on someone's mind when they hear something like this is, well, okay, so even if that is true, if I'm creating my feelings inside of me, how do I stop? Because if I'm thinking that, I'm thinking that. Well, just take a step back, because the first thing is just to notice, that that's how the system works. And just to start to realise that what we think of as an indisputable reality, this is what is happening, this is how it is happening, this is the only interpretation, isn't. That there's an infinite number of other ways of interpreting that situation. And just starting to realise that, and just starting to be less convinced and less attached to how we first saw that situation, how we first interpreted it, and just to maybe just get a slightly loosen our grip on it, and just consider that there might be other ways. Not that we have to decide what the other way is, what the real definite truth is, because, you know, then there isn't really one definite way of interpreting things. There are an infinite number. And just to know that, and to know that things can change, and that our thinking can change, and that in a way is the biggest variable in any situation and in any relationship, is our thinking about it, can be a point of real leverage, and can start to shift things that have seemed really, really stuck. So I'd love to know what you think about what I've been saying. So, you know, please feel free to put some comments below, or message me. I'd be really interested to hear from you. See you soon.